go up or this needs to come down?
Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal. And I'm here today with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David. How are you doing tonight?
Good. We got the last second kind of camera and lighting adjustments. You know, this is, you know, we got to be ready for our close up. Don't do that again. Well, we're in a good mood.
That's because me giving refs a stink eye.
Yeah, refs. We're in a good mood because the Oilers got some revenge on those refs, which I don't know their names, but that was just horrendous reffing. They should be ashamed of
Halkitis and John McIsaac.
Just shameful refereeing. Just utterly incompetent, or I don't know what, just Homer, through the roof Homerism. Anyway, the Oilers won 5-3 against the Boston Bruins. It was a well-deserved win in kind of a weird game. Yep. But the Oilers were behind a lot.
3 times.
But on grade A chances, grade A shots on net, Bruce, the Oilers had 14 to Boston's 6. Yep. From our preliminary count. You've yet to go over it. But the Oilers were clearly the better team tonight. But Boston kept getting ahead, only to have the Oilers claw back and eventually claw back again in the third period, take the lead and win the thing with 3 third period goals. So
according to Natural Stat Trick, which counts them different than us, but with lots of overlap, they had high danger chances at 13-7 for the Oilers. So they saw the same thing we did, even though all the other shot metrics were pretty much close. The grade A or scoring chances, and especially the high danger chances, were very heavily slanted in favor of the Oilers, and that's what I saw as well. It was the Oilers who created the better looks on the night, and really neither goaltender really stood on his head, with rare exceptions.
All right, so we'll go with 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers tonight. But because the Oilers won, we'll go with 2 good things each. What is your first good thing, Bruce?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cody Ceci, and with a hat tip to his partner Duncan Keith. I thought they had a pretty strong game, other than Keith kind of got burned by Pasternak on the first goal, which sort of became a 2-on-1 out of nothing. But I thought they bounced back well, and they're under a lot of pressure, man. But Boston likes the forecheck, and they really were bringing the heat even all the way down to below the hash marks and even below the icing line. And the defensemen had to be pretty quick, and I thought they did a pretty good job of keeping them to the outside. And then Ceci came through with a huge 2-point third period with a great move around the zone and centering pass to Leon Draisaitl for the game-winning goal. And then just a second point as an Oiler. And then following that up just a few minutes later with his first goal as an Oiler, cleaning up on some chaos in Boston territory by burying a high shot from the slot through traffic. And he was in the right spot, and he made the right shot. And so that those 2 offensive plays from an unexpected source were a big part of the reason Edmonton was able to pull out the 2-goal win in the end. Unfortunately, the same shift that he scored on, Ceci got drilled with a puck in the ear and helped off to the dressing room, and it looked a little dire. I hope it just is one of those things. He obviously didn't have time to come back with only 2 minutes left in the game, but let's hope that all is well. Getting the puck in the ear is no fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. They sure need him, Bruce. He has just been the steadiest defenseman on the right side. I mean, Evan Bouchard's been pretty steady, sure, but Ceci's proven to be the steadiest, and he's been a decent replacement for Adam Larsson. I never thought I'd say that. People who listen to this podcast know how much I like Adam Larsson and how upset I was about what happened when he left.
Yeah.
And lukewarm about the Ceci signing because I didn't know the player, and he had a bad. There was lots of criticism of him in both Toronto and Ottawa. We didn't hear so much from Pittsburgh fans, but there was generally positive reviews from Pittsburgh last year about Ceci. I can see why. He's rounded into he's a good top 4 NHL D man. That's my initial assessment of the player. Had his best game as an Oiler tonight. Super solid on defense under some heavy lifting, heavy going, heavy fire, and he got the job done. Not only that, just a great pass to Draisaitl to set him up, and an excellent snipe on his own goal. Yep. So good for Cody Ceci. My speaking of Draisaitl, he's my good thing. I mean, what a game! He had a very Phil Esposito game, Bruce. He had those last 2 goals. Those last 2 goals were right out of the Phil Esposito playbook, especially the pass from Ceci where he outbattled, I think, 2 Bruins in the slot. Got great inside position. That was Phil Esposito. Yeah, that's how he scored half his goals. And Draisaitl did it perfectly. He's been having a great year. And I think if I had to vote, I think I said this last podcast, but if I had to vote on who's the MVP of the NHL right now, I mean, I don't watch all the other players. I'm just assuming it's going to be McDavid or Draisaitl. But
it's a pretty good head start. If you look at the scoring race, I mean, they're kind of right there at the top again.
I'd pick Draisaitl over McDavid. Draisaitl's defensive play has been consistently strong, whereas McDavid's had far more hiccups. Leon's been really, really good at both ends of the ice, and he's leading the league in scoring. So if he's got more goals and assists, if he's got more points, plus he's a better defensive player, I mean, that's the game of hockey. So I'd have to go with Leon. And just a fabulous performance tonight. In a game where McDavid was more hamstrung because of constant fouls against him, which we'll get to.
Wow. Yeah, Draisaitl, you talk about defense. There was one really weird play where puck came to Nugent Hopkins and he broke his stick. And it's like Nuge froze and he kicked it over to the boards and he was still holding on to his broken stick. And then he decided he needed to go off and it looked like Boston was going to break away on a 2-on-1. And I don't know why Nuge didn't sort of stay on the puck and keep kicking it until he got it out of danger, but he didn't. And Draisaitl came hammering back hard and turned that 2-on-1 into nothing before it even got to the blue line, just because he busted his butt on the back check again, and broke up what would have been a very dangerous counter attack off of a broken play, literally with the broken stick. And that's not the first time we've seen that this year, and I suspect it won't be the last. But it's sure fun to watch when Leon gets going full speed on the back check. He's between his speed and his big, heavy, gigantic paddle that he wields. Good things can happen on the defensive side as they did there.
Yeah, the Dynamite line was, I think it's +2 tonight.
Yeah,
they were. They had a really good game, and good to see that. So, just what was Draisaitl's assist?
It was a beauty pass across the ice to
Bouchard.
Bouchard, who rang it in off the iron. Great shot, but the pass that fed him was really nice too.
Yeah,
found the right guy in the slot. So,
yeah, what a pass that was, and Bouchard,
unlike Brandon Carlo, who found the wrong guy in the slot when he dribbled the puck off his stick right to Leon Draisaitl between the hash marks. You would have seen some players blow that chance because they were surprised by it, but not big Leon. Bam, in the net. Took about an eighth of a second for him to convert it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know was it Carlo who was beating the slot too in the last on Draisaitl's goal? Yeah. So I don't know which one he's going to feel worse about, because the pass that's one of those things, like every now and then you flub a pass, but he got out muscled in the slot. He's going to be kicking himself as much for that, like losing position on Draisaitl. Yeah, he's not going to be happy about that either. Both
getting out muscled by Draisaitl is going to happen. Coughing the puck up to him between the circles. That's I'm thinking that's the one he'll be seeing in his nightmares tonight.
Probably. I'd say both.
When he ever gets to sleep.
Sleepless night. The sleepless nights of Brandon Carlo. All right. What's your second good thing, Bruce?
I'm going to give a shout out to young Ryan McLeod tonight, and he's been a player that's kind of been under the microscope, and he's had uh, this was his 18th NHL game counting the playoffs, and coming into tonight's game, he had 5 shots total, 5 hits I think it was total, 2 minutes in penalties, and 1 assist for a puck that rattled off his skate blade and went to the goal scorer in a game last year. And just low event where you look at the event summary, it's like he's not even there. Well, he's there tonight. First of all, he had an assist and a +1, and a well-deserved assist it was too on the Ceci goal. I thought they might give it to Ceci unassisted because a Boston player kind of banged it out of the chaos in front. But that chaos was created by Ryan McLeod and Colton Sevier, and good things resulted from that. But I thought McLeod was, I thought he was skating well all night. You know, when he raised his game was when Taylor Hall ran him in the corner boards with 6 or 7 minutes left. It was late in the game, and Hall took a big, unhealthy run at him. And the puck never came within 5 feet of McLeod, and Hall just steamrolled him into the corner. Refs were doing their usual, oh, that never happened. I didn't see that. I was looking over there. And it was an obvious interference penalty that both DeBrusk and Michaels were calling out, as well as people in my living room. And McLeod, I thought Hall may have done the Oilers a huge favor there, because McLeod, it was like he got his blood up after that, and he started playing pell-mell. The hell with this garbage, I'm going to get in there. And he was skating, he was hitting, he was throwing his weight around, he was still carrying the puck. And at the end of the night, he had 2 shots, 3 hits, a giveaway, a takeaway. You know, he was involved in the game, more involved. And I mean, in the inside of the game, getting his nose over the puck, as I think it's Tippett likes to say. And this was a very encouraging little run from Ryan McLeod. And if he plays like that, he's going to get a lot more games in this league.
Yeah, he had one hiccup at the end there in the neutral zone where he lost a battle, and there was a 4-on-2 because of it. And I thought he'd be benched after that, honestly. But, you know, Tippett stuck with him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the goal came after that, if I'm not mistaken, after that play. He was hitting people, Bruce. He was involved physically. He's got to do that. I mean, he just has to, or he's not going to be an NHL player. He's got to now and then, once a game at least, throw a good hit, use his body, and he did a little bit more of that. So good for Ryan McLeod.
Just join the battle, and he did.
Yeah.
So hats off to him.
My second good thing is Zach Hyman's goal, which just you know, whatever that was, 3 seconds, where he dug the puck. He got the puck from McDavid, and he's on the side of the right on the boards, and he just powers his way through Boston Bruin defenders into the slot and puts a great backhand shot by the goalie. Just what a fantastic goal that was at a really key moment. Puljujarvi had been hustling on the play, and I think he also kind of blocked off some interference, ran some interference for Hyman as he rushed to the net. But great individual effort, individual skill. And it's why I think he's likely going to be on Team Canada, on McDavid's wing. They're gonna like what he brings. I sure like what he brings, man. He is. I don't know if he's going to be a bargain 7 years from now, Bruce. He is a bargain and a half this year. He is so underpaid this year, like for what he brings as an NHL player. He's fantastic. He's everything I hoped he'd be and more. And I feel like rubbing it in on Toronto Maple Leafs fans, but I won't do it. They might feel bad enough about it already.
Oh, yeah. I was going to notice the fact that the Oilers just signed Matvei Petrov to a 3-year entry-level contract yesterday. That's the guy that Kyle Dubas passed up the draft pick that could have been Matvei Petrov because he didn't want to get involved in the signing of Zach Hyman, even after it was certain that he was going to leave Toronto. So Dubas said, keep your draft pick, Edmonton. And so Edmonton kept the draft pick, and they made a pretty good pick with it. So there's that. On the Hyman goal, I'm going to wind the tape back a little further, Howie Meeker style, all the way to the Boston goal that preceded it 20 seconds earlier, and maybe 5 to 7 seconds before that went in, when Zach Hyman got blatantly tripped in the slot by Patrice Bergeron. And I know we're going to talk about this more in a minute, but Bergeron just went through with the stick out and just whipped the skates out from under Hyman. And Hyman went down, and a hole opened up, and David Pastrnak went into the hole with the puck, and the next thing you know, it's banging around in front of the net, and Marchand is putting it in. And I mean, they call him the perfection line, but that one was a pretty perfect example of a missed call. And I think Hyman was pissed off. I really do, because after the next face-off, he just took the puck. He went in hard into the Boston zone. He rang one shot right off the post. That was his first chance that nearly went in. And then he was involved, as you say, coming out of the corner, beating men, bowling it towards the net, and drilling a backhand home past a Boston netminder, Linus Ullmark. And it was like 20 seconds of pure vengeance for Zach Hyman after, because I think he was pretty sour after getting dumped like that by Bergeron, and then Boston scoring immediately thereafter. And it was the air was again blue in the McCurdy living room. But Zach Hyman took matters into his own hands, and he answered the best way possible. He just got the goal right back with a great individual effort.
They should call it the obstruction line based on tonight's play. It was such a blatant trip. I couldn't believe my eyes, and I couldn't believe, like, honest, like, I liked Louis and Jack, the work they did, but they missed it, right? Like, I can't believe no one was talking about that
yeah.
after the goal was scored. I mean, there was only a goal.
Yeah.
There was only a goal. There was only a 3-on-2 down low because the third guy got
taken out,
sneakily tripped by Bergeron on the flyby. And how did there was a ref looking right at it.
Right at it. Looking right at it. They were looking right at it about 4 or 5
terrible
minutes.
Refereeing. Terrible.
Why don't we get to a bad thing, David?
We're getting there. We'll recapitulate all of these moments again. Okay, well, why don't I just do the bad thing, because we're there.
Go for it. We're there.
It was one of the worst refereed games I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was just preposterous how bad the refereeing was and how much it was one-sided.
Yeah. Missed calls is one thing. When they all go the same way, you start going, what's going on here?
I mean, the first really super obvious one was Yamamoto's killing a penalty, and he gets rubbed out on the boards high up the ice. Like, it was total interference, no call. McDavid, the one where he gets the stick between his legs and tripped behind the net. And then he gets tripped again by Lazar at the end of I think it was Lazar at the end of the second period. The Zach Hyman thing is just they needed to stick their arm up right away, because that caused the goal against. That was that's the refs deciding the game, allowing a sneaky dirty play and a trip like that. I mean, I guess there's a 1 in 10 chance that Bergeron didn't do that on purpose, but
I don't care. He tripped him, whether he did it on purpose or not. Accidental tripping is still tripping. They call it all the time. I wasn't sure he did it on purpose either, but his stick hooked Hyman in the ankles, and down he went. I mean,
I think he did it on purpose, but I can't say for sure. Then there was the interference call on McLeod, and then there was the 2 penalties that Marchand got. Like, I don't know what he's doing out there, Marchand. These wipeouts are the oddest thing. He's kind of going by players and looking to bump ankles with them and spin at the same time, and take a dive. Brilliant, because it worked twice. It fooled. It got these refs. I don't think either of them was a real penalty, and but he got the call. These and as you noted, as we were talking about this back and forth as the game was going on, you noted all garbage calls, all favoring the home team.
All of the disputed calls, yeah. I think there was a one and that was during the second period. In the third period, Edmonton actually did get a power play, and then they started letting everything go. But geez, Hull running McLeod 5 feet from the puck. That was fairly plain as day too. But
yeah, I don't know, Bruce.
Not tonight.
maybe they just had an off night. Maybe these are otherwise really sound and strong officials. I can't say, but that they deserve to get a phone call tomorrow saying like, what is up with that? Like, how did you miss some of these calls? That trip on McDavid. Come on, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
That's
McTavish
pathetic.
in the second intermission, Craig McTavish isolated on the one in the third period in Detroit on Tuesday, where Moritz Seider just shoved his stick right into McDavid's skates and sent him flying. And in the third period of a 3-2 game, mind. And then this one tonight, and McTavish was saying, how do they miss that? They said that they've got no excuse for missing those. Like if you're
There's
not
two.
watching Connor McDavid with the puck one-on-one on the defenseman, the guy sticks his stick in and hauls him down. How do you miss it? Get it together.
What's your bad thing, Bruce?
Well, I'm going to go with Mikko Koskinen's start to the game. And this was like right from the very start. The first shoot in, he lost his balance and he crashed into the boards, and the puck bounced off him and out of the trapezoid where he couldn't get it. Just very clumsy. And then there was another shoot in 20 seconds later, maybe, where he fielded it behind the net. He looked up, he had Duncan Keith alone in the corner, nobody within 30 feet of him. All he needed to do was slide the puck over to him. And instead he decides, I'm going to hold it, and then I'm going to fire a high puck around behind Keith and make him chase it. And so by the time Keith does chase it and gets down, he's in the trolley tracks, and he gets crunched because his goalie fed him a sucker pass instead of an easy, quick outlet, and he turned the puck over. And then however many minutes after that, 4:45 of the first, Pasternak had really the first decent chance for Boston, and it was a 2-on-1, and he is a deadly sniper, but I thought Pasternak kind of missed his shot, and it looked like Koskinen should get it, and then he opened his legs, and it looked like it was going to hit him in his knee, and then he lifted his knee, and the puck slid under and into the net. What are you doing, playing dodgeball? And I didn't like the 3-2 goal either, but on the other hand, he did make a fantastic save in the third period that with the Oilers leading by 1, that was a game turner in their favor. So at least he made up for that shaky start. But the first few minutes, he did not fill me with a lot of confidence.
No, and with this Mike Smith back in Edmonton injured, this is getting a little worrisome.
Yes.
It would be more worrisome if Stuart Skinner hadn't looked so good this season. If I didn't have confidence in him going in, because Koskinen, you just can't, you can't count on him to carry the load month after month after month here.
No, that's not
so Skinner's going to have to step, like they're going to need another solid NHL goalie if Smith's out longer term. And I'm almost, what's going on with Smith? Like, it's just like, he's like on the verge of returning now. Ever since he got hurt, essentially, it seems like, he'll, it's a small thing. He'll be back soon. It's like, okay, this isn't, something weird is going on here. He's got some injury that's not getting better. He's pushing himself, obviously. And we'll see what happens. But anyway, with Skinner and Koskinen, it's we'll see how it might go. Okay, if they can play Stuart Skinner 1 out of every 3 games, and he can hang in there and be a 910, 915 save percentage NHL goalie. It'll work out, because Koskinen's haven't had a good start to the year. He didn't have a good game tonight, obviously. There's only 6 grade A chances. 6 grade A chances, and you get 3 goals out of it. That's not. And this is is it the second game in the row?
One was a B chance of the goals.
Yeah.
Anyway, the long shot from the point that got through him. That was a weird one, but he did put up a goose egg in the third period, so that redeemed himself somewhat. Now Skinner will be starting again tomorrow, so his second start in 3 days is the idea, and then they'll play it from there. But hopefully Skinner can come up with a second good game in a row and win it. That would, ideally, and that would help and solidify his spot in the rotation. Because Smith, now it's 23 days since he got hurt, And he came on the road trip, and the thought was they're going to start. He's not quite ready. They're going to give Skinner a game, attaboy for being a good soldier. Then Koskinen play Thursday, Smith Friday was kind of the thinking. And then the news came out that Smith is not only not going to play, he's actually flown all the way back to Edmonton already. So he's clearly out for the whole road trip, which is 3 more games after tonight. So it is getting troublesome, and I have an idea. You're right that he's got a groin pull or something, and he keeps trying to push himself, and that just results in setbacks because it's by the grapevine. This is certainly not the first time that this has happened. That Smith was close and then not so close.
All right, what is your number, Bruce?
Well, I'm going to simplify to the Henry David Thoreau thing, and my number is 1, and that is the length of both of Edmonton's losing streaks so far this year. And if you want to be a good team, one of the really best ways to do it is to cut off the losing streaks right after one game. Don't even let them get going at all. And tonight they had a few reasons why they might have lost that game. One, Boston was playing pretty good for large parts of it. And they had some breaks go against them, and they had 3 times they trailed and they had to come back. Twice they tied it within a minute. Third time they tied it in the third period and then just kept on coming with 2 more goals. This was a big win, and it was the Oilers did it skating uphill for a lot of the night. And at the end of the night, these the fact that they survived this poor night from the men in stripes, and that they survived, some of the crap that happened to them, and just kept coming back and wound up walking away with the game. This really encouraged me about this team. I thought they showed a lot of character in this win tonight.
They got a lot of talent. I
Yeah,
mean,
that too.
they got a lot of Leon Draisaitl, and let's be honest here, Cody Ceci. I mean, he's playing like he's like looks like I don't know if I can believe my eyes. And players trend up and down through the season, but man, this guy he's a hockey player. He's a good hockey player. Bruce, my number, I'm going to change my number a little bit. My number is, I was inspired by your Matt v. Petrov mini rant, which you now and then go on.
I am not going to forget about Matt v. Petrov and
Matt v. Yeah, it was a fit of pique. I think it was a fit of pique from Kyle Dubas in the end. To, cutting off your nose to spite your face kind of move, right? Because he's losing Hyman. Why not get something back? Yeah. Why not? Like, is it that important to pare down Edmonton's salary cap?
In the immortal words of Weird Al Yankovic, he can eat it.
So Matt v. Petrov has 18 points in 14 OHL games this year. 10 goals, 8 assists, 18 points in 14 games. Petrov was drafted. What was he drafted here?
First overall.
By the OHL, 180th by the Oilers.
Oh, yes.
Toronto Maple Leafs had drafted 2 players before that. And together, Petrov has 18 points. Together, those guys have 19 points. Okay. So Matt Nyes has 7 points in 10 games for Minnesota in the Big Ten Conference in the U.S. College Hockey. And Ty Voigt, who they took ahead of Matt V. Petrov, has 12 points in 9 games. So anyway, I guess the point is they had a chance to get a player who's looking as, in terms of offensive production, is looking as good as the 2 guys. One they invested a 2nd round pick in, and the other one was a 5th round pick. They could have had another guy who looks just as good, if not better, at least by the scoring totals, than either of those guys right now. And Kyle Dubas got too smart for himself. I think he got overly clever and just or prideful even, and decided he wasn't going to cooperate in a way that would have helped his team. So, yeah.
Yeah, the disadvantage he put Ken Holland at by not doing that deal was the same disadvantage that all 31 other NHL teams benefited from.
Yes.
So he helped all of the Oilers' opponents, including Toronto, but all the other ones. but he cost specifically only Toronto by not getting the draft pick. Now, I would say the chance that they would have actually taken the same player had they traded for that pick would be pretty low. But the fact remains that the pick that was offered eventually was turned into Matvei Petrov. So he's the name that we can associate with pick number 180. And it'll be fun to watch if he's for real. And the replays I've seen, the highlights and so on from North Bay, he's good.
Yeah, all the more reason to cheer for him. Now, of course, there's all kinds of players who score a lot of points in junior hockey and never become NHL hockey players. Long road ahead, long runway. And
he's a Russian and he makes it with the Oilers. He'll have broken a few barriers. But
it wasn't a lot that the Oilers were offering. On the other hand, it wasn't a lot that they were asking either. So anyway, yeah.
Free draft pick.
Chintzy. So tomorrow night, Buffalo. Bruce, I'm going to be coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be away. So can't do the game tomorrow night. But you and Kurt are going to have it covered, I guess.
Yeah, I'll be grading that game, and Kurt and I will do the podcast together, and we'll catch up on the scoring chances after the fact. And a lot of games right now, they're coming thick and fast, so there's no surprise.
The next one after that, Sunday?
Okay. Sunday at St. Louis, then Tuesday at Winnipeg. So it's a rough end of the road trip. So the Oilers would be well advised to see if they can secure another 2 points in Buffalo tomorrow night. If they do, they've already salvaged a credible road trip. If you can win 2 out of 5, and ideally you get a third win in there. But they got a big one tonight. They easily could be looking at an 0-2 start to this road trip right now. And credit to the Oilers, they are not.
Yeah, against the surprising Sabres. They really are surprising.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Yeah. And this is they needed this, Bruce. Cause did they need a win here? Because this is a tough road trip, like St. Louis and Buffalo's been doing well. So,
Mm-hmm.
And who's the 13 that you mentioned?
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg's always tough.
They have the rarest of rare in the modern NHL with Winnipeg, a home and home. They're playing in Winnipeg on the last game of the road trip on next Tuesday, and then on Thursday they come home and they play the Jets again in Edmonton. And I bet you could look at team schedules around the NHL. You might find some teams that had no home and homes all year long. Like there's so many teams, and you only play each team at most 4 times at most, or 3 or 2 times. And so anyway, we'll be looking forward to that. It's not like there's no history between Edmonton and Winnipeg. That there might be a little intensity in those back-to-backs.
There will be. All right. Bruce,
if Edmonton doesn't have a burr in their bonnet about Winnipeg, then I will be concerned. But I'm not worried that they won't. I'm pretty sure they'll come out loaded for bear.
The Oilers seem to have a bit of a burr in their bonnet about this season right now. I like it.
10-2.
Do they wear bonnets? Thanks for talking, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.